Hey you guys, my name is Jenny and I am that props girl. Welcome back to part 2 of my series on what to do with fabric offcuts. I am so excited because today we are going to be looking at 4 different ways that you can make bookmarks out of offcuts. I am super keen to do that with you. As always, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and the little bell next to the subscribe button to stay up to date with all my future uploads. And with all that said and done, let's jump into the video. Okay, so starting with just our straight bookmark, I've already cut my fabric, so I'm just going to go ahead and hem that. So it's easy with these ones because they're in check, so it's got straight lines in the fabric, but I'm just going to quickly fold that over and pop a couple of pins in there, and then we will go ahead and hem this. So. Moving forward, we're going to put these together, but before we do that, I actually wanted to show you, if you don't want your bookmark to be 2 pieces of flimsy fabric together, what you can actually do is just cut a piece of card to make this a bit more rigid. So I've just cut it a little bit smaller than the outside, and I'm just going to sew that in there like that when I sew around the edges once more. Now the reason I wanted it to be a little bit smaller than that is 1, so the stitches can go straight through into the fabric, but 2, because I want it to still have like the softness of the fabric and not be too hard, but it's just to give it a little bit more rigidity when it's sitting in a book. And this is something that you would probably want to pin just to make sure that that piece of card's not going anywhere. You can always pin straight through the card, I mean, no one's going to see it. So there we go, a really quick and simple way to make a bookmark. It took me about 10 minutes, probably less, to make this. It's a really great way of upcycling fabric. It's a great project if you wanted to give someone a gift or you're wanting to do quick and easy sewing projects with kids. You can also jazz this up a bit further by utilizing some other craft things. I've got a little flower here that you could pop on it if you wanted to make it a bit sparkly or something, or if you wanted to put on the letters of someone's name, you could do that as well. There are tons of options. This is just the starting point. Alright, so moving swiftly along, the next one that we want to create is very similar to the first one. It just has a little bit of an extra touch to it. So the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to start with some really tiny pieces of offcut fabric. Now these are going to serve a purpose for the little bit that hangs off the end. But what we want to do with these is actually put a tiny hem on them. Now I'm probably actually going to have to pop in a pin in there just to hold it in place. And try and keep it as relatively straight as you can. And this is very, very small stitching. Alright, so now that we've hemmed both of those pieces and they are looking snazzy, we are going to put them together and sew them together. But before we do that, we're actually going to place a ribbon in between the 2 sides. We're going to place that in there. I'm going to pin that in place just so it stays there when I sew over it. Now this length of ribbon can be however long you want, whatever distance you want between the main part of the bookmark and this little bit that's going to hang over the side of the book. So I'm going to go ahead and sew. Alrighty, now that that's done, I have just grabbed the next 2 bits that I want to use for the bookmark. Now if you watched my last video on fabric offcuts, you will probably recognize this piece as one that I didn't end up using when I made my book jacket. But I found a use for it, so I've got a partner for it, and I'm going to put another piece of card in the middle here, the piece of ribbon in there with however much length that you want, and then put the top piece on and sew that in. Alrighty, so that is done now. Another cute little bookmark, which is super easy to make. Again, it's a little bit more difficult than the last one, but it's not extremely difficult to make. It's very effective, and you'll be able to see this really obviously where your page is. Alrighty, moving swiftly along to our next one. And for this one, you need 1 long piece of fabric. which is going to wrap around your book. You will need either a hair tie or an elastic band and a button. As always, I'm going to fold it over and hem it. Now you can do a smaller hem on this than I am if you like. For me, I personally just prefer a little bit more of a lip on my hem because I'm not the best sewer, so the more space I've got to play with, the better the end result will be. But obviously it comes with practice. And the reality is that I'm not a person who sews all the time, so when I do, I look to improve where I can. Alright, so now that we've done that, I'm going to take the hair tie. I'm actually going to go back over that area lightly with the sewing machine, just so we've got that firmly in place. So now that I've attached that to there and it's firmly in place, I'm going to hop to the other end and I'm going to sew in this button about there. I'm going to hand sew this one in, but you can use glue if you prefer. So now we're done with that, all we've got to do is wrap it around our book. This next one is my personal favorite and I'm so excited to do this with you guys today. First of all, you will need to cut yourself some fabric. Now I have chosen to use 13 centimeters by 13 centimeters to make our squares. This is calico and this is the same star fabric that I used in my last video for the DIY book jackets. I'm going to be using these to do a dog-eared corner on a book today. So I'm going to start with the calico, and as always both pieces are going to be hemmed around the outside. You know the drill. Get your pins out, fold it over and sew it in place. Now with our last square, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half and then we're going to hem around the outside. When you're done with that, you should have a little triangle, and it's the exact same as half of one of the squares here. Now when you're done with that, you're ready to put it all together, so flip over one of your bottom squares. As always, you can put a piece of card in if you'd like it to be a bit more rigid. Pop that in the center, pop this on top, and then you can place this piece in there like that. There we go. Pin that all down and then we are nearly done. And now we are done and we are ready to go in a book. Now of course you can jazz this up as much as you want. You can put letters on them if you want, or you can put googly eyes on them to make like faces. You can even put something like a bee on there. You can jazz it up in any manner you like. I'm just going to grab a book here. We'll open it up and then we should just be able to slip a portion in there like a regular bookmark. And there we go. Now there are actually a lot of other methods on how to do this one. So if you hop onto my Pinterest page, you'll be able to see a stack of other ways that people have done them before. Some have got different stitching to what I've got. There are several methods, but it is all the same end product. Well, there we go. And I am so stoked with the results that we ended up getting. I love all of those options for bookmarks. There are actually a ton more that I didn't get a chance to show you. So if you are interested in seeing me trial some more, please leave me a comment down below and I will try and do some more for you in the future. If you are interested in seeing what other options are out there, you can also check out my Pinterest page, which will be linked down below, and you can see what other creations have been done by other people out there. If I had to pick a favorite, it would either be this beautiful green one or it will be the corner piece. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I wish you all the best of luck with your creations. Let me know in the comments down below if you do have some success, because I'd love to hear your stories and see some photos. Be sure to hit the little bell next to the subscribe button to stay up to date. Give me a like and a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.